A World of Differences, Unit 4, Lesson 1. Hello everyone and welcome to Conflict Resolution and Peacemaking, the class that teaches you how to manage interpersonal conflict and drama for yourself and others. I'm your instructor, David Lowry. It's a big world out there, and we meet people different from us every day. The first group of people we identify as the Relatables. They are like us in personality, and we find it easy to understand and relate with them. The second group of people differs a little more from us. We call them the Understandables. We enjoy similarities in background. Though our personalities and points of view may differ, when we disagree, we maintain understanding and respect. Knowables are the next group of people. From our standpoint, we have only a few things in common. Their lifestyles, points of view, ways of solving problems, and personalities seem foreign to us. And finally, the difficults and dysfunctionals. They're ones who feel entitled to violate group norms and personal norms. They say and do things that make other people feel uncomfortable. Instead of working cooperatively, they are willing to escalate tensions when things don't go their way. As they do so, they create drama, anxiety, and problems for us. These people bring out the worst in us if we're not careful. The point we're trying to make here is that there is a difference between being difficult and different. The simple fact is easy to forget when difficulties arise. It can be hard enough to understand those we know well, and even harder to understand people who think and see the world differently. In this new unit of study, we will build on our earlier discussions of perceptual differences in these contexts of difficult people and explore the concept of a difficult person. The purpose of this series of lessons is to discuss the peacemakers' approach to difficult and abusive people. While we can't cover them all, we will discuss bullies, verbal abusers, passive-aggressive individuals, and narcissists. We will also cover some of the more common forms of attack used by difficult people. Understanding basic psychological traits and preferences can be helpful to peacemakers since so many disputes result from superficial differences between people. As we begin talking about differences, let's stress the importance of exercising caution as we learn about personality types. It's one thing to understand basic psychological traits and preferences, and another to label or stereotype someone. A plethora of psychological literature discusses temperament, personality styles, traits, and dominant characteristics. Some are more empirically based than others. Among the first attempts to classify human personality was Carl Jung. In his clinical practice, he observed that introversion or extroversion could explain people's orientation in the world. He created a typology that proposes 8 personality types based on 4 ways that Jung perceived each category of people and how they expressed themselves. These included thinking, sensation, intuition, and feeling. Even though Jung's work was based on his observations, we discuss it because his efforts serve as the basis for one of time's most widely used personality inventories, the Myers-Briggs personality types. The MBTI is one of the most widely used measures to describe personality preferences. The MBTI Foundation claims that more than 2 million people each year take their inventory. The inventory consists of 4 fundamental dichotomies. These include extroversion-introversion, sensing, intuition, thinking, feeling, and judging, perceiving. The MBTI assumes that people have a location preference within each of these dimensions of personality. The combination of the 4 dichotomies allow for 16 different personality types. So let's look at the 4 combination. According to Spielberger, the extroversion-introversion trait refers to a dimension of personality that contrasts qualities such as sociability, assertiveness, and enthusiasm with qualities such as reserve, quietness, and thoughtfulness. The EI qualities are included in almost all personality inventories and describe people's orientation to relating to the world either inwardly or outwardly. Introverts detach from the world, while extroverts get caught up in whatever's happening around them. Introverts are quieter and less likely to seek public attention, and they don't enjoy being in situations with many people. On the other hand, extroverts gain energy from conversations and being among people. They enjoy being the center of attention and expressing themselves publicly. Now let's look at sensing or intuition. Sensing and intuition describes one's preferences for processing information through the senses or more abstract means. A sensing individual prefers to rely on the data of their five senses. They tend to be more factual, concrete, realistic, and practical. The intuitive person looks at information more abstractly, philosophically, and theoretically. They tend to see multiple meanings in the data before them. This preference for data interpretation can interpret how one interprets and views the world. For instance, Village and Francis found that the sensing-thinking dichotomy had explaining power for how one reads and interprets Scripture, a source of many disagreements to be sure. Now let's look at the dimensions of thinking or feeling. This dimension describes one's decision-making preferences and whether they lead logically and practically or rely on other factors, such as how a decision might impact the comfort and feelings of others. According to the MBTI Foundation, thinking is not related to intelligence, nor is feeling related to emotion. Instead, both are preferential approaches used in decision-making. One might call this the head versus the heart, or the objective versus subjective dimension. Those who prefer to lead with thinking are more problem-oriented and judge people in situations with logic more than emotion. This does not mean that the thinking person doesn't have emotions, just that they prefer to render decisions based on the facts. Those who lead with feelings are more apt to factor in extenuating circumstances, such as the feelings of others, and other factors such as harmony and empathy. This does not mean they don't use logic and practicality. They lead with more qualitative factors as they make decisions. Judging or perceiving. This final dimension of the MBTI describes how one interacts with the outer world. Unlike the dimension of extroversion and introversion, this subculture assumes that everyone must react to outside forces at one time or another. The question is whether one's interactions are more planned and intentional or flexible and spontaneous. The judging person likes to plan their day, get the most of their work done before pursuing pleasure, and plan best how to use their time. A perceiving person is more open-ended and pressure-prompted. That is, they wait until a deadline approaches to get things done. From the 4 descriptor pairs that we've just covered, 16 MBTI personality preferences emerge. Now remember, the Myers-Briggs inventory is a descriptive instrument designed to reveal personality preferences. It's not intended to be a diagnostic tool, nor a sophisticated instrument for measuring specific human traits. However, what it does well. It describes significant groups of individuals that people meet every day. We think it's essential that peacemakers familiarize themselves with the various MBTI personality preferences. Understanding preference types can help expand one's appreciation of the full range of differences among people. In our experience, many conflicts and arguments are rooted in differences that are easily explained by individual personality differences. Some conflicts are rooted in differing personality preferences. Sometimes, instead of respecting and appreciating the amazing differences among people, there's a tendency to judge, blame, and criticize others for not being more like us, as though we're all supposed to think and act alike. Of course, this is a mistake. For instance, as a longtime college professor, I've often seen this dynamic in group assignment work. Individuals with a preference for judging will make elaborate plans for group members, complete with due dates along the way. They work a little each day until all the work is done. Perceivers, on the other hand, usually wait until the last minute to do their work. They enjoy the pressure of a deadline, and they don't mind working all night until the job is completed at the last minute. While both groups do fantastic work, individuals with a perceiving preference often drive the work-as-you-go judgment folks to a heart attack. The same can be said about thinking and feeling types. One may accuse the other of not caring about the feelings and needs of others. It doesn't mean that thinkers are better than feelers or vice versa. Each style has associated strengths and weaknesses. In today's lesson, we have begun our discussion of difficult people by pointing out the difference between being different versus being difficult. As objective instruments like the Myers-Briggs indicate, people view the world and problems differently. In conflict situations, the observant peacemaker who notices these differences can explain how conflicts are often less a result of intentional ill will and more the result of personality preferences. Nevertheless, having a good relationship with others is a skill that all can develop as we learn to accept and appreciate our fundamental differences. Of course, we aren't saying that all disputes result from personality preferences, but they can complicate the resolution process. In our next session, we will look more closely at what makes someone difficult. Thank you for listening. We invite you to download a copy of today's script so that you might complete a short quiz over today's podcast.